Alright guys, PA All Outdoorsman. Just got off the boat, just got back from fishing, doing some pre-fishing. Um, First tournament of the year for me starts tomorrow. So I'm gonna give a quick, not too in-depth, I'm just gonna give a quick rundown on my 5 baits for June. So I'll grab my rods. I'll grab 5 of the rods that I'll explain to you guys now. I definitely have more than 5 baits, and I definitely have more than 5 rods tied up on the deck of the boat. But I'll grab 5 that I feel like are a pretty good bait for the month of June that you will definitely be able to catch fish on. And I'll grab the 5 that I feel and have been for the past. I've been on the boat the past 3 days almost straight fishing. And these 5 that I'm going to grab are 5 that I have absolutely been catching fish on. So I am very confident in the month of June of letting you guys see these baits that I'm going to be throwing in the month of June. Alrighty, so number 1 is a go-to for me, a must on my boat. And that is a Texas rigged creature bait. This one specifically is a Zoom baby brush hog. And a baby brush hog is absolutely one of my go-tos. 100% baby brush hog is probably my number one Texas rig bait, a baby brush hog. In green pumpkin watermelon red flake, or this one is green pumpkin candy. These are definitely a very, very, very key player on the deck of my boat for the month of June, and I will always have a Texas rigged creature bait, especially a Texas rigged brush hog, tied out on my boat. All right, so bait number 2, and I'm trying not to get too in depth because because I don't want to make this video extremely long. But a poppin' frog or a buzz bait topwater, you definitely want to have a topwater on for the month of June, and a poppin' frog is one that you cannot beat. Same with a buzz bait. I've been tearing them up on a buzz bait. But a poppin' frog resembles a lot of stuff. I mean, bluegill on top of the water, it resembles a frog. If you're anywhere where the mayfly hatches, stuff like that, a poppin' frog is a go-to. But like I said, it's a close call between a poppin' frog or a buzzbait for me. And either way, I'm happy with throwing either one of them. But more or less, having a topwater is definitely a go-to as well for my top 5. All right, so number 3, this one might be a little different than what most people would be throwing in the month of June, but I definitely throw it, and it's my confidence bait, and I absolutely destroy him on it. And I will proudly make this one in my top 5. A jig. This is a 3/16 ounce, and I usually go from a 3/16 to a quarter ounce. Those are pretty much the biggest I'll go, unless I'm fishing obviously depth, and then I'll go to a half ounce to an ounce, stuff like that. But I don't really ever fish that much deep stuff with a jig. If I'm going to be fishing deep like that, it's going to be a Carolina rig, stuff like that. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I do throw half ounce and ounce jigs out, throwing on ledges and stuff like that, and I do it all the time, and I've caught a lot of big fish doing it. But normally, I do a lot of offshore, but I also do a lot of beating the bank. I love power fishing. I love beating the bank. I love fishing structure. So if anywhere I can flip a jig, I'm gonna be having a jig getting flipped to it. So number 4 for my 5 baits for the month of June, and again, these are just the 5 that I know to catch fish right now. I got more out on the deck of my boat, like I said, but I'm just gonna show you guys these 5 because they work, and they're ones I have tied on. These are all ones I was just throwing today, and I don't think there's not one of these baits that I didn't catch a fish on because, like I said, I'm pre-fishing for tournament coming up. First tournament's tomorrow. Anyways, this is a tungsten weight. I like tungsten. As you can ask anybody, tungsten with fluorocarbon, you feel a lot more than you would with mono or a lead bullet weight. So this is tungsten, 3/8 with a 10-inch Zoom Old Monster. This is one of my go-tos for big worms. I also throw the Googan Mondo worms. I got some Strike King. They're at 11 inches, stuff like that. But again, bullet weighting with a tungsten and fluorocarbon, you feel just about everything. It's just like braid. You feel everything. I throw a lot of braid, and pretty much all I throw is braid or fluoro. I don't think I have any rods with mono. I'm not sure, but most of my stuff is 12 to 14 pound fluorocarbon. If 50 pound braid, I got a lot of on my spinning rods. I got 30 pound braid to like 10 pound leader. My top water rods I got 50-pound braid or 14-pound fluorocarbon. Like, I don't really ever go bigger than 14-pound fluorocarbon or 50-pound braid. That's just me. So my number 5 is going to be a drop shot. You can see the bottom of the drop shot hanging out right here in my rod sock. I'm not going to take my rod sock or nothing like that off, but another quick little tip. I kind of feel like I came up with this. I've never seen it done. I've never seen it on any social medias. I've never seen it done by anybody. Same with the way I tie baits. I got a line tie that I tie baits with that nobody's ever seen done before either. If I have time here, I'll show you guys at the end. But most rods, they got that D loop right there for your hook keeper, and like ones like Lew's, they got the one on the end that has the just like the hook you can slide your line under. So for my drop shot rods, the ones with the D loop hook keeper on them, take a rubber band and slide it up the bottom of your rod, and put your drop shot in the rubber band. So many of my friends have seen it and like, what is the rubber band for? I'm like, well, it's got my drop shot holding there, so it ain't going nowhere. It's just like if it had one of those keepers down here, you could slide your line under like the Lew's rods have. They're always like, no way. Should have thought about that. I mean, it's not. I came up with it a couple years ago. A lot of people watched me do it, and they kind of have taken the idea because it works. You take a rubber band, slide it up on the bottom of your rod, and when you're done, you just put your bullet weight or your drop shot weight down in that rubber band. So your hook sits up here, your line's nice and flush with your rod, it's not dangling and tangling up and everything, and it doesn't get annoying. So there's my top 5. More or less, well, actually, I got a box in here too because I didn't really. Deep cranks. Month of June, a deep crank is a necessity, dude. I mean, it's a necessity, and I am a big fan of both these. And this entire box is full of nothing but 2 makes: Strike King and Berkley. I got the Berkley dredgers. This one is the 25.5 feet dredger. I have all the way up to the 8XD, the 10XD, which are the Strike King XD series. Like I said, I got the Berkley dredgers, Strike King XDs, 10XDs, the Berkley dredger 25, 6XDs, 5XDs, 3XDs. A deep crank, that was one that I definitely forgot to mention. I do have it tied up on a rod, and I brought this box in for that reason, but deep cranks are a go-to for the month of June. You need to have some sort of a deep crank tied on. My go-to would be one of these colors.